Hi, and welcome to the final video in this education video series about Social Security. Now, we're going to start getting into some technical stuff and some numbers. This is where it can kind of get a bit gnarly and crazy, but I'm going to do my best to make this as easy to understand as possible. Because again, we're getting into numbers here. And we're talking about we're going to talk a little bit about present value and more. So I'm going to, I know I try to do these things so you don't need to look at the screen, but I am going to put some numbers on the screen here and I'm going to describe them. So if you're walking or cleaning house or whatever, you don't really need to look at these numbers, I hope. I'm going to give an example. On here, we have a person who is turning 62 right away. Okay, so let's just say in February of 2026, this person's turned 62, and so they are eligible to take Social Security. And in our example, if they start right away, they will earn $1,000 a month. And that translates, there's some formulas going on there, but that translates to basically $12,000 a year. And the reason why I picked 1,000 is people can kind of take that number and use a multiplier with their own number. So you could, for example, if you go to the socialsecurity.gov and it says, hey, if you start at 62, this is your number, and it's instead of 1,000, it's 2,000, then you can pretty much double things and get something that applies closer to what your numbers are. Okay, so we have this person who could start drawing now at $1,000 a month. And I really only care about 62 and 70. For me personally, those are the only two I care about. So we'll go to 70 and it will say if you wait those 8 years, instead of $1,000 a month, you're going to get $1,772. That's a big difference, okay, of those 8 years. And I think that's really important to understand. Now, I don't like talking about it. There's this 67. That's pretty much the full retirement age. That's if anybody who was born in 1960 or later, that's the full retirement age is 67. So this person at 67 would make 1,429 roughly. That's the amount that they would get if they waited till then. Personally, full retirement age is important of 65, the person's age. It has, in my opinion, it comes into play when we're talking about survivor benefits, spousal benefits, which we covered earlier. But when it comes to the amount of money, it's like, what? That isn't the maximum amount of money you can get. It's not your full retirement money, right? If you wait, it's really 1,772. And I know I've listened to a podcast once, and this is a Social Security person. I think he did work for Social Security at one point. And he's like, yeah, we're trying to kind of change that a little bit so it doesn't, because people think full retirement, that's what they're going to get. But it really is 70. You can go all the way to 70, and that's when you get the most money out of your Social Security. Okay, so there we go. And I do, over here, I'm showing that if you start at 62, that's $12,000 a year. And if you go all the way to 70, it's $21,000 a year. That's a big difference. And if we go back into the beginning when we talked about the cookies, do you want one cookie now or two cookies later? That's really where you start to figure this out. What really is the best thing for me? And that's what we're going to try to talk about here is discounting. I'm going to do my best job to try to make this as easy to understand as possible. Again, these are financial ways of looking at numbers. So it is really unfair. I'm just going to concede to this. It is really unfair to say you're looking at $1,000 now, or if you wait until 70, you're looking at $1,772 a month. It's unfair. Those numbers are not the same, okay? Because we have to discount those numbers, and that's why I use the number right now. I mean, just today, and this number can change with interest rates, but right now, if we built a TIPS ladder for Social Security Bridge, and we're going to talk more about that in the next class, but we're really looking at this 8-year bridge. We're pretty much looking at a 1.47% internal rate of return on that bridge that we're building. Okay? So 1.47. That's what I do. That's what I like, what I feel comfortable with. And we can kind of say it this way. Okay? If you decided that you're going to retire at age 62, okay, and but you're going to take that money and you're going to put it into a savings account so that when you get to 70, that the savings account has that same amount of money at the end as though you didn't. And we're just talking about 1 month here. Okay, so let me try to articulate this. If we did this, and we're going to make what I call the real risk-free rate of interest, which belongs to TIPS. So inflation's out of it. Remember, Social Security is adjusted for inflation, so we don't need to worry about that. It's all taken care of. But we want that return, the real rate of return. That's what we get from TIPS. I'm saying it's 1.47% in this scenario. What you do is you take that $1,000 that you get when you first start Social Security. So you're going to start at Social Security, and you're going to take that $1,000 and you're going to put it into the bank account that's earning 1.47% real risk-free rate of return. Okay? Then what you would have to put in today to get that, you put that $1,000 in, and when you get done, it's going to be $1,577. Okay, that's the discount that's involved there. And that's where I'm trying to make the point is that these numbers aren't exactly the same. It's not like you're going to get that because you could put that money into a savings account. And so that when we discount it, it now equals $1,577. So I hope that helps. It's a little tricky. I use software that's only available to advisors for looking at Social Security, okay, doing the math behind it. But there is a software program called Maximize My Social Security. It is available to consumers. I highly recommend it if you want to look at trying to figure this out on your own. I use that software several times. I have the advisor license as well that I also double check the numbers. But their discounting number is 2.44%. Okay, so that same, if you're looking at for that amount at $1,772, they're really saying that it's $1,461. So the higher the discount rate, the lower that benefit really is by waiting. Kind of hoping this will make sense, because it's tricky, and I have to wrap my head around it every time I think about it myself. Now let's move on to another discount rate, because it's so. I'm going to go back to like 25 years ago. I was thinking about Social Security. I'm like, oh, I am definitely going to delay taking Social Security. Or excuse me, I said that backwards. I am definitely going to start Social Security as soon as I can because I am way smarter at investing money. I will invest that money and I can make way more than I can if I delay Social Security. I mean, I thought I was, knew what I was doing, right? Okay. But it is true. It is absolutely true because 20, 25 years ago, I could set aside this money and this delay amount of money for Social Security, those 8 years, and I could very conceivably make 9.53% out of the stock market, just the total U.S. stock market, because that's right now is historically the real rate of return on the stock market. Much better than this 1.47% that I'm talking about, the real risk-free rate of return. So it is, that's the thing. But when we're in retirement, that ship has sailed. And then even if you do get it, how do you protect it? And the insurance aspects. But I just wanted to point out, in all fairness, that this 9.53%, so waiting the 8 years to take Social Security, that benefit really is only worth $705 as opposed to $1,772. So that's the discounting example of what's going on with Social Security. Again, me personally, I like the 1.47%. That's what means to me. So by waiting, I'm not going to get that full 1,772, which is what's advertised. But when I discount it, it's really worth $1,577. Okay. I know this is tough, but that's what we're talking about, discounting. We got to take that into account. If you use Maximize My Social Security, there's a bigger piece to that, and it will talk about the present value of your Social Security as you add up all your Social Securities over your lifetime. They will talk about it, and I think it really helps you put in perspective about when you should take Social Security. And also, a plug for the Social Security, it also talks, it goes into spousal benefits. It talks about survivor benefits, the whole thing. You put in, the longevity, when you expect to pass for both spouses, that sort of thing. It really does help. And again, it goes into this present value thing. And my only point here is to say, it's not just the numbers on face value. You got to look at these things from a discounted perspective. Okay. I think too, I wanted to talk about a Social Security bridge, which, what that means, and we'll talk more about that in the next video, because we're not talking about just about Social Security, we're talking about covering our essential expenses. But you can purchase, this is what I do. You can purchase a TIPS ladder. You build a TIPS ladder to cover those 8 years for Social Security, so it is there. You got it covered. It's taken care of. And that Social Security bridge is a number that you have to take into account. Is this really worth it? And that's we talked about the deferred income annuity. That's really kind of the price of that deferred income annuity to get that extra amount. And again, we'll talk about that in the next class. I find that fascinating. I love to talk about tips. So you'll definitely want to tune into that for more information. Okay, there's a few more things I want to talk about with Social Security before I wrap up. I'm sure this is like, I've had enough. Okay, first of all, there are some benefits. When you, quote, maximize your Social Security, you're trying to get the biggest benefit. You're going to hold out for those 7 years or 8 years. Ty's talked you into it, that sort of thing, okay? Just remember from a tax perspective that right now, at least 15% of our Social Security is not taxed at the federal level. That's the most that you get taxed. Is 85% is the most, so at least 15% of it is not taxed. And it depends on your income. That can be a lot lower. All right? And, from a congressional standpoint, who decides, what taxes are, right? Congress decides. With this, the act, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, July 4th of 2025, it came out that we got this message from the Social Security, hey, Social Security is not taxed anymore. And you're like, what? They kind of got that wrong. But what happened is in that act, the bill, they gave seniors, it's temporary, not going to last forever at this point, but they gave seniors up to a $6,000 deduction, okay, if you're 65 or older. And the purpose there is to say, hey, listen, we're not charging you as much, we're not taxing you as much on your Social Security. A long-winded thing the point that I'm trying to make here is, I think Congress really would like it if Social Security were not taxed, and that's based on people's income. So it's going to needs based, because that $6,000 deduction, that's phased out based on your income that you're taking. Okay, so my point is that, and then a lot of states, if memory serves correctly, there are only like 10 states, maybe less than that actually tax Social Security. And even then, when they tax Social Security, they give some discounts and stuff like that. So, but I'm in the state of California. California does not tax Social Security. So that's another reason why. So your bigger Social Security benefit you get, remember, it's just not as taxed as much as probably some of your other income. That's another consideration taken. And here are two more things. One is, if you've listened to these videos, like, oh my gosh, this crazy dude, Ty, he's talked me into I'm a believer now. I should have waited till 70. But I'm already on Social Security. It's a done deal. My ship has sailed. Not really much I can do. Maybe there is. Here are a couple things. One is if you have just started Social Security in the last 12 months, you do have the option to say, I've changed my mind. I'm going to stop Social Security. I'm going to pay it all back to the Social Security Administration, and it will be as though it never happened. Now, if you do that, just as a side note, footnote here, if you were having your Medicare Part B payments taken out of your Social Security, which is very typical, okay, almost all cases, you'll need to pay that back as well, okay, because that's not, you got that as well. So you can make this option. I'm going to just draw 12 months. It's kind of messy, but it works, okay? If you change your mind, say, I really need to do this. However, let's say you're past 12 months and you say, Ty's talked me into it. What are the other options? Okay, what you can do once you are at your full retirement age, which in most cases is 67, right? You can do a voluntary suspension. Say, hey, listen, let it ride. I'm going to stop my Social Security, and for the next 3 years, when it's going up by 8% a year, it's not compounded, but it's going up by 8% a year. You can suspend that, and maybe by then you've got all your ducks are all lined up. You've got plenty of money, investment money that you don't need to rely on Social Security. You can suspend that, and your Social Security payment will go up by 24%. Now again, we got that discounting factor, but we still have that. Something to consider. And that's not something a lot of people know or understand, but it is out there. It is an option. Again, for people who are already, you're over 70, both spouses are over 70, and you think this information really doesn't do me a lot of good. There are a couple things to consider. One, again, make sure you understand the survivor and spousal benefits and that you're in alignment with what those are, and that something's not impacting you. And on one last shout out, that weapon GPO, that's gone away. Just make sure if you were impacted by that you've gotten yourself into a situation now where it's all taken care of and you're getting the Social Security benefits that you're entitled to. Thank you. I very much enjoyed talking about Social Security, and even more so, I look forward to the next class, which is talking about those tips, ladder, and what we can do there. Thanks again.